All right, preparing. Okay. There it is. I always say I start talking when it goes live. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay. So, hi everybody. Welcome to the Theta Power Hour. As I always say, you want to come, we're 1 p.m. Central Standard Time every Wednesday. And how it looks is that I interview amazing people. I'm in the know, they're influencers, they're experts, and we're going to have fun today for sure. And I love that it's like piggybacking off of the one we had last week that was around sexuality. Just saying.
Ooh.
So yeah, with a expert in that field. So we're going to talk to our featured guest here, and then she's going to tell us about what comes up for her clients and what the challenges are. And then we're going to do a little bit of theta work here at the end. So once again, my name is Brenda B. Bailey. I am a theta healing master and instructor, and I help coaches up level their programs and practices that they do with their clients. So what else do I need to tell you? Oh, yes, the obvious. Please like this. Please share it with anybody that you feel like. So tag them either in the comments below or share it and tag them as well. And keep in mind that this will be, posted everywhere. So any of the information, any of the healing work is just as profound on the replay as it is the live. So let's get it down to it. Let me go ahead and get my notes here. So I'm excited to introduce y'all to Dana Pharant. She has built a 7-figure business without any sales calls. And as a former dominatrix, Dana knows all about owning her power and being unique. She has worked with clients for over 25 years, helping them keep their head out of their ass, love it, so that they can scale with ease. Get your head out of your ass. So she is the author of 5 books, winner of multiple awards, and a woman who treats her own personal development like an extreme sport. Love that. Love that, love that, love that. So welcome, Dana.
Thank you so much, Brenda. I've been looking forward to this all day. This is fabulous.
Yay! So we're going to go ahead and just get the party started here so that you guys get every little bit of nugget and little pearls of wisdom that we can from Dana. So here's my first question. Do you think women and men need to approach business differently?
Ooh, good question. So yes and no. I mean, everything's always a yes and a no. So I think women need to be a lot more mindful about making sure that we're staying balanced with what I call the feminine energy. So we all have feminine and masculine energy, no matter what gender or non-binary, however we identify. Energies are like yin and yang. It's not gender specific. So the thing is that for most women, we have been modeled in what I call the masculine way of doing business, which is get out there, hustle, make your 50 phone calls. It's all a numbers game, right? And you can feel that in your body, and that it's like, oh, it just feels awful. And yet when we drop in, and this works for men too, when we drop into our feminine, that intuitive knowing of, hey, okay, who do I call? Get those nudges. You follow those little nudges. You're going to find that you'll be able to do 5 calls instead of 50 calls and have more results. And this is the thing. And for women, if we constantly follow that male model, we burn out really quickly. So yes, we need to be more mindful. Do we need to do it differently? Not entirely. I think both men and women would benefit from an understanding and following of their intuition.
Absolutely, because it just expands their reach and
Mm-hmm.
their market. So for sure. So Dana, why do women in business fail and end up overworking and in overwhelm?
Well, and I kind of touched on this a little bit, gave it away a little bit, but that I think really it's that there hasn't been great role models. We think about how women have been in the workforce realistically for 100 years, really maybe a little less than that, because since the 1960s, we could say women have been really in the workforce. And so we have not had great mentors. A lot of those initial women clawed their way to the top, didn't have the bandwidth to actually turn around and help some of the women behind them. And so it's not until the generation that's entered the workforce now where they're saying, hey, like I could use some help. And the women in front of them have got the bandwidth to be able to turn around and be that supportive network. So we're building that old boys club for us us gals, and that's a disadvantage that we've had for this time, and I think we need to acknowledge it, and acknowledging the fact that there's a straight up disadvantage for women in that there's a higher expectation as far as how you look, how you dress, doing a half an hour of makeup. I watched a great documentary, if you've seen the Hillary docuseries, and she says she calculated, and she spent, I think, on her campaign trail 25 days worth of time on hair and makeup. Like, it's a huge amount of time out of our schedule. So all of those factors together, I think, make the difference.
Absolutely. And I feel like, and touching on what you're talking about, Dana, is that men are really good at asking for support, asking for a referral. Who can you connect me with? Because that's
Mhm.
how they've been trained. And, or, getting a mentor, just like what you touched on. And as women, we want to just do it all.
Yeah, well, I think because what's been modeled ahead of us is we see these super women ahead of us doing it all, but then we forget to also notice that those super women have ended up in hospital because they've burnt out. It's really sad. The consequences to their health have been significant. And, if we can change that narrative and start helping each other out and asking for help, that is a really big, I'm glad you brought that piece up, because we need to ask for what we need. We need to ask for support, and it's not necessarily paid mentors, but we need to ask for each other. Form your own little tribe of people who are going to help you as you grow, and those that are in the same mindset. So, sticking together with people who are going to be really supportive of where you're going.
Absolutely. And it doesn't hurt to do that with someone who's a step or two ahead of you, right? Or more, if
Yes.
you can find it.
Yes.
Um, so that is so true. And yeah. So why are so many women still under earning as business owners when they get to set their own pay?
Oh, okay. This is such a personal pet peeve for me. This is like, and I know with you, shatter the income ceiling is like, I'm sure you see this a lot, but I think that women really undervalue what they do and how they move in the world, what their worth is. It's a touchy subject for me too, but this idea of going out and commanding high paying fees, or fees that are in line with the results that you get for people. Again, we don't have great role models, so the women in front of us have undercharged, and so then we tend to follow in that line. And what happens at the start, right out of the gate, women will come in and say, okay, I've got a 3-month program, I'm going to charge $2,000 for it. And, and not always, but a lot of men will come out and go, oh, that provides this amount of value. I'm going to price that program, same amount of time, same delivery, same results, at $8,000. So we start out of the gate with this gap. And then men will typically lean in because they've seen it. They've seen other men, and it's like, well, I'll just ask for more money. I'll just keep asking for more money until people say no. And so they keep gapping, whereas women wait until they've gotten significant results with people before they then raise their rates. So the gap just keeps getting wider and wider. And this is what I see in business that's really hindering women, and why they so need to have someone to help them to bust through that internal mindset.
Do you also feel like that it's also that women feel like that if they raise their prices, they won't be able to help everybody that they want to help? That it's going to knock some people out of,
Yeah, there's definitely, because, we are a little more wired to be aware and cognizant of community and wanting to help people out. Um, and I do see that a lot where they're like, well, I want to price it here because I want people to be able to afford it. And the reality is they often price themselves in the mid-range, which ends up not serving anybody because you're not low enough to serve the group that you see the need in, because for them it's still out of range, and it's not high enough for you to make the living that you need to be able to really show up fully. So it sounds like that in our mind, but really it's, it shows up that underlying fear that's going on where I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be criticized. That's really what's going on, because, somebody who's coming at it from a very business perspective will just say, this is how much we need to charge because this is what we need to deliver. These are the results, and this is how much profit we need to make at the end of it. And, coming at it from a very linear perspective as opposed to, oh, I want everybody to feel good and like me. And then they don't.
And you missed out on that money. There you go.
Right? All of it. Triple whammy.
Insult to injury. There you go. Absolutely. So, what do you feel like, Dana, is the difference between authentic intuition and gut response?
Okay, so a lot of people think that they're getting their intuitive hit, and it's actually their fear response that's coming up. So there's an initial kind of like repulsion towards something, but we have to check in a little bit deeper. And this is where, the training that I do with the book that I have, it's Badass Intuition, takes people into being able to actually connect with when is it your intuition? Because oftentimes your intuition will give you a yes sensation to things that maybe you would have you've been like, oh, I'm not sure I want to do that. And getting to know that feel of what the yes is, as opposed to the heavy feeling that people often associate with a no, is not always the no. That can sometimes be just our fear of stepping out, our fear of being bigger, our fear of moving. And, so we need to differentiate, like I said, getting to know, and the muscle testing is a great initial step, whether you do it with your finger testing or your body sway, getting to know what a yes actually feels like and doing it in a way repetitively so that it locks in for you over and over again, that you will actually trust it and follow it.
And I find as well, it's good practice to start with the things that you're not attached to as far as
Yes.
asking those questions so that you get that, experience
Yeah,
without
absolutely.
the,
I'm
without
right.
the fear coming in or without the
Yes.
doubt coming in, and then
Yes.
you know it, and then when it's a big question, right, that you need that clear objective answer to,
Yeah.
then you got it down a bit.
Yeah, totally with you. Actually, that's in my book, is that you start with like, do I
Great
want
mind.
coffee? Do I want tea? Yeah, green minds. Do I want to wear this shirt, this shirt? Do I want to take this direction or that direction? Things that are inconsequential, so that you're just training the muscle of recognizing what is a yes, what is a no, and following the yes, because that's the important piece to get locked into your system.
So I know for both of us, right? Um, you have to step out of your comfort zone. You have to feel, and I don't want to say fear, but you got to have some hesitation or kind of going, if you don't fear it just a teeny bit, or maybe even a lot, depends on the person, then you're not moving in the right direction. Then you're not actually thinking bigger than what your mind will limit you to do. Would you agree with that?
You know what? I'm gonna like go completely contrary on that one, because
Okay.
I hate the expression about the comfort zone. I find that it is really limiting for most people. And where people go and say, like how you're describing getting out of your comfort zone, to me, I would say that's a misidentification. You're labeling fear when it's actually excitement, because physiologically in the body, they are so close. They're like identical twins. And when you get to know the difference, you can tell them apart. But they're very, very close. And the majority of us label everything as fear because that's what we've been told. And so when we stop labeling all of these things as fear and start labeling them as excitement, then we lean into our excitement zone instead of the discomfort zone. And personally, I really think that where we are, when we don't like where we are, that is not comfortable. that has never been comfortable. So to me, there is no such thing as a comfort zone. I really think that's a big lie. And as long as we keep telling ourselves that this, where we are, this stuck, yucky feeling, if we keep telling ourselves this is the comfort zone, we're never going to propel ourselves to want to get out. But if we change the narrative and start talking in terms of, oh, I want to go into that excitement zone, the place that like, lights me on fire, takes my breath away, kind of feels like fear, but really it's excitement, then you're going to be motivated to move towards that instead of pushing yourself into it.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
You're welcome, everybody. So, like, if you are getting some gems out of here, guys, and if you're not, I don't know what to tell you. Like, wake up, have some more coffee. No, but so please tag somebody who you feel like needs to hear this, share it so that they understand this, because I love that. We have a saying here in Texas, Dana: shit stinks, but it's warm. And I feel like that is it kind of runs along that, but not. And yeah, it's also, I feel like that people need to be more aware so that they can. This is talking about being in your body, being aware, being present.
Yeah.
All of these things that we hear, I always say like they're Eastern philosophies, and they're brilliantly, when you have the direction, when you understand, when somebody is showing you, modeling, teaching you, however that is, for people to understand how to do that, because people, it's not like we are born with that knowledge, and especially women. So why do you feel that most women in business resist using, that is actually, like a competitive edge, what you're talking about?
I think for a lot of women, there's a desire to want to play small so that they get along with everybody. We talked about this earlier, this hardwiring need for community. And so if we rise up, if we take, something that is innately ours, innately powerful, and use it as an advantage, it's foreign. And when something is foreign, we consider it to be wrong. And this is where, using these tools of really getting to know your intuition, you can start checking in with your body. Like, will this expand my business? Will this move me forward? And then taking a deep breath and leaning into doing it, understanding that, oh, okay, I'm not feeling fear. What if I'm feeling excitement? Having these kinds of little nudges to move us in the direction of leaning into our strengths, leaning into our gifts, will really move the business along a lot further and start to really change the dynamic undercurrents. Now, there's a lot of things that in the work that I do and the work that you do is about changing those core patterns and core programs so that it's, again, easier to lean into it, and then we can reinforce those changes by saying, I'm choosing to stand in my power. I'm choosing to fully show up. I'm choosing to raise my prices. I'm choosing to own my brilliance. All of those pieces is easier to do once we've changed the underlying programming. To just do it with, cognitive, saying I'm gonna do this is the hard way. It really is, and you probably will second me on that. Yeah.
Right. Being in your head, thinking about it, perfecting it in your brain type thing, or wrapping your head around it. I always hear that all the time. Well, I got to wrap my head around it. It's like, yeah, don't worry about that. Go with your intuition. Go with the intuition. So
Yeah.
absolutely, because I feel like, yes, we have to use our brain, and there's a time and a place.
There is. When you're looking at your numbers and you're looking at, the stats of your Facebook ads, great. Use your cognitive brain. But when you're looking at mapping out and saying, okay, what's the alignment path of where I need to go? That's your intuition. You want to make sure that you can get really excited about what you're doing. You want to feel lit up, jazzed, juiced, whatever words fit for you, because that energy is what pulls people in. That's what makes you magnetic. It attracts people in because they're like, I want that. You are lit up. I want that. Can I have, oh my goodness, you can have that. Right?
right?
Exactly. And the money comes in. So, but then you get to enjoy your life. And that's really, for me, first and foremost, you get to enjoy your life. And yes, you get to have money. It's all of
Right.
it.
Win-win. There you
Yeah.
go. So, is there anything else that we've touched on that you want to expand on or that you want to add in?
I think one of the places that we just kind of were like sort of touching on it, um, but I'm going to just name it right out, is the whole sexual energy. And let me just preface, like, so yes, I used to be a dominatrix, so this is not about sex, but your sexual energy is that magnetic piece of you. It's what allows you to feel in the creative flow, in this sense of I feel alive. I feel aligned with the universe. I feel so excited about what I'm doing. It's those people that you meet and they talk about whatever it is that they're talking about and they are just lit up. I remember when I met my husband and he's a bobcat mechanic. Now, I have no interest in bobcats and I have no interest in fixing bobcats, but he is so excited about telling me what he's doing that I love listening to him because he's engaged and you can tell that it's his passion, it's his love. And that was a big part of what drew me to him, was because he has something that he is passionate about. And I think this is a big piece of allowing ourselves to actually engage that energy, to feel that and to project that out. So give everybody a quick sample. There is more in my book, the one that's behind me, the Become a Badass in book, Become a Badass in Business, not in book.
And it's in the book. There you
It's
go.
in the book.
In
Yes, the
book
tools
form.
are in the book.
Yeah.
But basically, if you just, plant your feet on the floor and then imagine connecting in with your pelvic space. So your pelvis sits like this bowl and the pelvic floor is the space that's, formed by the bones sitting like this, right? So you want to connect in with the energy there. And then what you want to do is you want to imagine bringing it up through your spine and then coming out all the levels of the vertebrae and just infusing your body with this powerful base energy. And what that does is that when you start to really engage that energy and you bring it up through your body, if you're in sales calls, you're on video presentations, you're giving speeches, anything that you're doing where you're facing clients, they're going to connect with that energy. They're not going to sit there and go, oh, I want to have sex with this person. That's not, I always know that's concern for people. No, but that's the piece where it's like, oh, I really like them. I want to get to know them. I think I want to work with them. And that's that piece, is because they are willing to be in their bodies and they're willing to be feeling alive in their bodies. Because ultimately, we as human beings, that's one of our core needs, is to feel connected with others and to feel alive in our own bodies. So we're looking for other people who role model that. So that would be definitely something I would suggest, for anybody who's looking to make more money. If you're doing sales calls, start engaging your sexual energy because it will significantly improve your close rate. I can promise you that.
You heard it here. I mean, I that's brilliant. Again, another brilliant idea. So tag people who need to hear this. Tag, I feel like, and again, we come by it honestly, right? As women in wanting to play in the boys club, so to speak, we became very plain, very, looking like taking away from who we are innately
Mm-hmm.
and that feminine sexuality, looking very gender like.
Yes, remember the 80s with
So
the big poofy jacket, like the jackets with the shoulder
that,
pads, and it was very much about modeling, how do I look like a man? How do I remove my sense of any kind of, sexuality? And there was legitimately some concerns with that because of course through the 60s and 70s and quite a bit into the 80s, women had a lot of sexual harassment to deal with. And so, the 80s, I'm not surprised that we brought in this backlash of, okay, I'm going to have like an asexual wardrobe.
right, asexual, right, that's the word,
Yes.
uniform, the uniform.
The uniform, yeah, because I want to be taken seriously for who I am. But the problem is that in doing that, we also cut off our sexual energy, which is different from our sexuality. So we cut off one in order to cut off the other, and we lost our power. And then in doing that, we also, for a lot of women, they really struggled in the boardroom to capture attention and hold attention and be taken seriously because they weren't having that power energy coming up through their body while they were talking. So,
Absolutely. Wearing the tight buns or wearing the hair back in a, yeah, just, at a time when hair was big, as I say, another saying from Texas, the bigger the hair, the closer to God. So, that we had a lot of closeness to God in the 80s. I'll just say that. Um, but yeah, so absolutely. And I feel like it's those types of things and those experiences that have caused us to move a little bit slower in
mhm,
expanding and, you know, having the influence, expanding your market, making more money. It's all things that we've all had to overcome.
mhm.
And just being okay with who we are, how we present ourselves, and showing up in that feminine role of who we are and that powerful feminine role of who we are.
Yes. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people misunderstand when I say feminine, they think that that's weaker, and it's actually not. It's more that the feminine power is a quiet power. It's a power that doesn't need to be in your face, but it is you've seen women do this, right? And particularly, we'd say the mama, right? Like the stereotypical mama, where she says nothing and it's like you in trouble, right? There's a power in that. She doesn't have to force herself, but because you can feel it. And so there's that strength of the feminine energy that can come across without it needing to be forced, or it's not about trying to take the other person down, but you still hold firm in your boundaries. You're very strong in them. So I think that's also the power of the feminine energy.
And it's so funny, it's kind of the same, but not. I was just talking to a client about, she was talking about a situation where she wished she had spoken out, right? And because she was mad, she was angry.
Hmm.
And I said, the thing is that if you just get in touch with your anger, you don't have to say a word.
Yeah.
I said, you don't have to say anything. They just need to know to back off or know, like, okay, we've crossed a line.
Hmm.
And I think that's exactly what you're talking about right here. But
Absolutely.
as women, we have not understood that that is something that we want to do. And the difference that it'll make,
Yeah.
not having to like learn a bunch of stuff or get trained in a bunch of things. It's like, just connect with that.
Hmm. Just to be in that energy. The silence can be very powerful, but like you say, it's like connect with the energy, hold firm in who you are, what your boundary is. You just need to hold the energy on that, and everyone else in the room is going to feel it. And I find that oftentimes, and for women in particular, oftentimes silence is the best option when you
Absolutely.
hold that energy, because it is so powerful. And often, mostly because a lot of women tend to go to over explaining, and then they weaken their position, and then they're into justifying, and they're projecting all this stuff out, and and then they're completely off kilter. Whereas in order to hold the silence, you have to hold your position really strongly of, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and then I can stand here and not say a word. So.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And there was something else that I was thinking when you were talking, and I was just like, oh, well, it'll come. Oh, because that's the thing. Often, like when I work with clients, and it's clearing a lot of things so that they can be that, right? Inevitably, and it's a very female thing, and I get it, and it's cool. It's like somebody will ask them, did you change your hair? You look younger. Did you change your skincare or your makeup? It's always about that. When it's like none of that, it's just them.
Mhm.
But all of a sudden, everybody's like, well, I am perceiving them different and better.
Yes.
So let me ask these questions. But
Well, and
that's
again, we haven't been taught to look for what have you changed inside,
right. And
right?
I'm going to say that I don't think that that's gender specific, but
No.
yeah, that's the thing. Because
Yeah.
confidence, and that's what exudes when we are, you know, have that stake in the ground, know who we are to the core,
Hmm.
what we're standing for, what we're talking about. That's sexy.
Very sexy. And it's very appealing in business,
And
it's
not
very
in
appealing.
that right, and not in like that well maybe, but I mean, but not, but in that, like, people are like, I want that.
Yes.
I want more of that.
Yeah, and I just had a thought. So the confidence thing, when it's authentic, when you're owning it, when it's coming from a space of like, I know who I am and I'm willing to take up the space that I am allowed or I am willing to take up, versus the projected confidence of, say, a narcissist. The difference is that how it lands for you. So if you're faced with two people, one is, got this beautiful authentic confidence, you're drawn to them, and the other one makes you feel wrong. And so you could notice what's going on inside for you to start to get a sense of whether somebody's projected confidence is authentic or not. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel less than? Then there's a really good chance that they are just faking it, projecting it, or a narcissist. And if it makes you feel like, oh, I really want to be around them, it's authentic confidence.
And I find, I'm just going to say this because I know that people, like, they're coming to the end of the year here. They're going into a new year. A lot of times people will be looking for a new coach, a new, strategist, a new mentor, whoever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that what happens with a lot of people in making decisions around this, they go for the inauthentic because they feel bad. Like, I was like, oh, again, another brilliant thought here. And they feel like that if they can do what these people are selling, right, or saying, then they won't feel like that.
Right. Yeah, they want the results that the person is promising. They really want that outcome. And then because they've, gotten that hit of like, oh, I feel kind of broken and kind of messed up inside, then maybe I need that to fix me. And this is a huge pet peeve for me, one that we could have a whole nother show on, is this whole, piece in the personal development world, in the business world, where we are constantly being bombarded with this message that there's something wrong with us, that we need somebody else's blinking system. We need somebody's personal development tools in order for us to be fixed. And that is such a lie, because the reality is that you're perfect and whole. So you as a listener, you're perfect and whole exactly as you are. Sure, there's things that you are working on. There's things that we all want to change, but come from the place of, I want to change this because I want to tap into my limitless potential, not because you're broken.
Right.
Never sign up for a course because you feel broken. If that's the one thing I can give to people, that would, change the world. Just stop signing up for courses when you feel broken, because the minute you do, you're going to get in there, and those are the ones that you're like, oh crap, this was horrible. It was a waste of money. I wasted 2,000 or 20,000 or 200,000. I hear this over and over again, too many times, Brenda. Like, right? How many times people come to us and they have spent gobs of money on so many programs that have done nothing for them, because they're still feeling like they're the ones that are broken. And the minute that they make that switch, and they can start to come from the perspective of, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm choosing to do this because it's fun, because I can, because I want to see what the outcome is. Then all of a sudden, boom, their life takes off. And that's the big thing. That's probably my biggest rant. I'm sorry, I'll
Well,
step
if
off
that's
my.
ranting, We ran down here, but anyways, she's Canadian, guys. We'll get her. She's, up north there. We'll just be like,
We're a little quieter here in Canada.
yeah. I'll be like,
I'm gonna write a letter.
oh my God. Okay, that was a rant, guys, just in case you missed it. Just to point out. But I also feel too, and I say people will all the time say this with me as well, fix me.
Right.
And I'll be like, I can't, you're not broken.
Right.
So I completely understand what you're saying, because I say that too. I'm like, you're not broken at all. So again, tag somebody who you feel like needs to hear this, share it, because there were so many nuggets in here. Yeah, there were so many nuggets in here. So we're going to do a little work now.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? And as my featured guest, Dana, you will cue people on when to say yes. There you go.
Awesome. I can do that.
You to say that, right?
Okay.
So again, with the replay, you can get this work on a replay. So just you're going to say yes out loud and yes in the comments. And then that way you get it. So if you're watching the replay, let us know. I know a lot of people watch the replay, so that's always so wonderful. And why? Because they know whether or not they do it live or whether or not they do the replay, they'll get this. So whenever I work with a new client or student, I always make sure that they have 3 beliefs in place. And that is, I want an instant healing, I deserve an instant healing, and an instant healing, find my hands here, is possible. So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
So keep in mind, the beautiful thing about Theta Healing is that, one, it's very complementary with any other modalities or any other programs that you utilize. You can easily just put that in with it. And it's also very respectful. So we won't do any work unless you say yes out loud. And as I say, you don't have to scream it on the top of the mountaintops here. You just got to say yes and you'll get it, because our brain needs to hear us say yes. Our brain doesn't do a lot of the work for us, but it kind of can be the cog if we're not aware of it. And that's what's beautiful about Theta Healing, is that it goes beyond the brain. The conscious and the subconscious makes changes at a cellular level, and it's if it's always been. So our thoughts, our brain, and our emotions, our heart can just follow very easily without it taking, because I just don't know if people realize how much gets caught up in our head and us saying, oh, I need to feel like this, or I need to be doing this, or this is who I am. It's like, when you do it at a cellular level, you don't have to hold those thoughts in your brain. So that's what makes it so lovely. So I took lots of notes on what needed to shift here.
Excellent.
So one, we want to, and I always say, with an obligation means we don't have a choice. So one of the big things is that I always want to make sure that people have choice in their lives. So you can choose to do it the, long, comfortable way, or you could choose to do it the easy way, but you have the choice. So we want to remove the obligation that women have to use a male model on how they do their business.
Beautiful.
We want to forgive ourselves for, let's just say we want to forgive that divine power, whoever that is, for role models not being available to us as women until now. We want to remove the obligation to do what's not working until we're burned out. And we want to forgive ourselves for doing that. We want to change what prevents us for asking for support. We want to change the obligation that we have to undervalue our expertise, our services, what we offer. And we want to change what prevents us from being paid for helping others. So we'll let that be the first round. We may have like 2 or 3 here, guys, and we'll have at least 2 rounds. So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
back to my list here. Let's see. We want to change that there is an obligation for society, for ourselves. We want to change our participation in the gender gap. We want to change what prevents us from pricing our services and programs high enough to make a living. We want to change the obligation to be rejected. We want to change the obligation to be criticized. And we want to have discernment between what is a fear response and what is our intuition. And we also want to change what prevents us from recognizing and knowing that feeling of yes for ourselves. So, and then let's also change what prevents us from having the discernment between what is fear and what is excitement.
Lovely.
So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
And again, a lot of these downloads are not just about business. They'll help us in every area of our life, because how we do anything is how we do everything. And so again, if that changes, like, oh, maybe I need to tag so-and-so. Now that you've said that, Brenda, so it's never too late to tag somebody. It's never too late to share it and tag somebody. So last round here, let's remove the obligation to play small. Let's change what prevents us from recognizing and connecting with our alignment path. Let's also change what prevents us from, let's see, what's the right word? Let's change what prevents us from being willing to connect to our sexual energy in order to magnetize who we are and what we're saying and how we are operating in the world. Let's also change the obligation to be connected with others in a way that doesn't serve us. And let's change that we need permission. Let's see, let me see. Let's change that the obligation to only take up space of what we feel like we're allowed to, instead of taking up space that is divinely our right. So if you would like those, just say yes.
Yes.
And in the comments below, I keep forgetting to say that, is there anything else that you can think of, Dana, that I possibly didn't touch on and what we talked about that you feel like would be nice to add to the mix?
I think you've covered. You got.
I
that was
listened
pretty much
to her, guys. She's like,
yeah,
listen, there you go.
that's good.
I always say it's an occupational hazard. So again, what? Something free? What? So yes, Dana has come on. So
Yes.
tell us about, it looks like you have a free offer for us.
I do. So the badass intuition, which will get them the step-by-step process to really lock into trusting your intuition, following it so that you can make those powerful, quick decisions that are really going to move you into running your business with ease and making more money.
So just so y'all know, I put it in the post. So it's not going to be in the comments. I've actually put it in the post.
Ooh, cool.
So you'll be able to find it.
Okay, so
Okay,
badass intuition, in case people are listening, you just put that in badassintuition.com. That'll take you right to the page.
So that's the way to be able to find it. Great. Thank you so much, Dana. So just a reminder, guys, Theta Power Hour, always 1 p.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesdays. My guest next week is Sherry Merce, and we're going to be touching on what we're going to be getting some advanced energy work on, not touching, is the changes needed to share your message. So, Dana, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much, Brenda. It's been a blast.
And guys, once again, 6-week course for free on getting in touch with your intuition. I know I'm gonna discover it. So I'll see you guys next week. And thank you again for joining us. And like, share. This is stuff that people needed to hear. All right. Bye, guys.